you know, and it becomes like a limestone square, you know, and it's perfect, which explains how they perfectly cut this. They didn't. They made a mold. It totally makes sense. But again, the orthodox, you know, archaeologists and these guys that have been teaching this exact same, you know, the exact same version of the history of Egypt, they don't want to even accept it.
Ultimately, I think it's all political. It's you know, there is a certain paradigm of reality that's presented to people, and it involves there are subjects and there are authorities, and they don't want the authority to be compromised.
Yeah.
And so they don't want these mavericks like John Anthony West to come in there and show that their authority has no foundation.
Exactly. They need the Sally Hawass guys.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I mean, they're like American politicians. It's amazing.
So the main thrust of the work, though, at this point is getting people to understand that there's the cycle of catastrophe, and these rocks coming in from space are a real danger. You know, and all of our eggs are on this one little rock. You know, and we've got to do something to get beyond this rock.
Well, you see,
and that should be a large focus of what people are doing here.
The Clovis comet. See, we put this on the card 10 years ago, and a year and a half ago they discovered that it was real. Clovis comet. That'd be something. That's another thing for you to check out.
When did that come?
Well, it came. That was 12,500 years ago.
That's what they're saying now. Took out all the mastodons and the mammoths, and it was one of the major causes of the Great Extinction.
In the area?
Well, right now they're thinking it blew up in the air, but we think we know where it is.
Remember 100 years ago,
we're still on the path to go find it.
Yeah. That's the Tesla incident. Well, someone attributed possibly that to Nikola Tesla's experiments. Clovis comet?
Clovis, C-L-O-V-I-S. We've got some good stuff to look at too.
Well, you got Paleolithic, right? The old Stone Age, and then the Neolithic, the New Stone Age, and that comet or that change, they've now found this layer of carbon. Like they found the layer of extraterrestrial metals that made them realize the dinosaurs got killed off by an impact. They found the same type of stuff, these extraterrestrial metals.
Years old.
Yeah, this layer between the old Stone Age, the Clovis people, and then above that, no Stone Age people, no mammoths, no great tigers, no huge bears. All this just disappeared. So now there's this line, just like they found the line that took out the dinosaurs, and it's only 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, we actually went and investigated the Clovis site in New Mexico.
We need to call Sarah Palin immediately. Information.
Get her on the phone.
Do we have that option?
I've got all of this in multimedia. I'm ready to present it to the heads of state whenever I can get an audience. I've spent 10 years putting it all together on multimedia.
They don't want people to know. If the end was coming, there was a meteor right above the North Pole headed our way, you know, right beyond our vision. They would still
just
deny
ignorant.
Deny. No, everything's fine.
Well,
there's got to be.
The prediction is that we're overdue for another 1908 type event. Only in 1908, when it happened over Siberia, people were far away. The scientists didn't learn about it for 20 years. And that was just a little piece of space stuff. Essentially, is what that was. Now, if it happens, people are going to know about it instantly. I mean, Katrina, nothing. The great tsunami in Indonesia back a few years ago, nothing. We'll see a little piece of space dust come in, it'll blow up with the force of a hydrogen bomb, and then suddenly humanity on Earth will become aware that we're part of a much larger system. That's what I think will happen soon. Within the next 5 years.
All these legends from long ago.
Isn't it?
That's a rose-colored glasses looking.
Well, how rose-colored is it if we have to sacrifice 1 million or 2 people to get the rest of us to wake up?
There's so many of us. 1 million or 2 won't be missed. I mean, a real big one, a real scary one is a continent ender. Yeah. Continent ender is what really scares me the most, because that's what's going to bring us back to 10,000 years ago, right away, almost immediately. You know, just hunting and gathering and doing whatever you got to do. And that's so possible. People, they don't see it. They refuse to see how flimsy the infrastructure is, how a hurricane can keep people from getting gas in Atlanta for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And a hurricane didn't affect 80% of the area.
Yeah.
And
a hurricane whose wind what, 100 miles an hour? That's not really much of a hurricane.
Think about the rest of the country. What tiny percentage? I mean, what is it, 1% of the country that hurricane hit? Maybe 10% the most? I mean, how far it traveled? It didn't. Why come 90% couldn't get gas to Atlanta? Our production of oil is that limited? Is it that ridiculous?
Well, Atlanta is totally dependent upon the Houston refineries.
Exactly.
Yeah, the pipeline comes straight through
that
here.
way, and it fucks everything up, right? Yeah, no, that's nuts, man. It's so the bank's falling apart. All of this is making people realize, like what I said on stage. There's no leader. Everyone says follow the leader, but there's no one person that has any idea what the fuck is going on. It's just some leftover shit from back when we were chimps. We have to follow the alpha. You know, even in a gigantic 300 million society like America, or a 6 or 7 billion society like the world, if you really look at it correctly. I mean, there's no way one person can know what the fuck is going on.
One has to ask.
He would know as much as anybody after being around him for a decade. His book of knowledge in his head and his library can tell a lot of the story, and it makes a lot of sense.
It won't even matter.
And the great thing is it's all backed up by science.
Right.
I mean, that's why I hooked up with him, because I was into some ET type stuff and exploring some other world stuff, and he went in and did a program and talked about this, this extinction and all these animals that went away, but he's got binders and binders of all the science that back it up. It's not just,
the real problem with all the ET experiences is after you've done like a serious psychedelic. I mean, if you've done any serious psychedelics, you don't take any of it seriously anymore. You go, well, that could be anything. When you like a DMT experience is way crazier than being abducted by aliens. If aliens landed in the middle of the parking lot out here, right in front of Starbucks, and came out and talked to people, that would be crazy. But it wouldn't be nearly as crazy as doing DMT. DMT is like a different universe. I mean, everything is different. There's no rhyme or reason to anything you experience or see. And it makes you look at anything in the material world, this world, the normal three-dimensional space-time, distance, and weight and gravity. This is all nonsense in comparison to that world.
Illusion.
And that's the real world that you can get to over and over and over again. That's a repeatable experience. I mean, all you have to do is smoke DMT. Everybody who smokes it takes 15 seconds, 20 at the most, you're gone. Fine. I mean, it's real. It's not like it's
10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's not like you go to the top of a mountain and you camp out with your friends and you hope to see a UFO. No, you fucking smoke this shit and you're gonna see way more than a UFO every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a little trigger, a little chemical trigger in your brain. You just have to make the levels reach a certain point where you pop through to the other side for a little bit, and then the levels, realign, and it brings you back to baseline, and you come back.
Stuff.
Yeah, sure. That was where I learned about DMT in the first place. It's some weird thing. He's got some new thing. Strassman's got some new thing he's put together called the Cottonwood Research Foundation, and it's all about doing current research on DMT and finding out all sorts of different stuff about levels during the day. Like they're gonna have some really sensitive DMT detecting equipment that can detect levels at various states of stress and different times of the day, and really get a much more detailed understanding of like what the levels of DMT exist in your cerebrospinal fluid, your blood, your liver, your kidneys, and all that.
Naturally, you mean?
Yeah, naturally. Yeah, and then they're going to do ayahuasca experiments at DMT.